Welcome to First News at 6 and Happy New Year. I'm Maureen Kane. Charlie will be back on Monday. A new year means new laws going into effect in Texas and Oklahoma that could impact you. Josh Stevenson spoke with lawmakers on both sides of the red. He joins us now in the studio with what you need to know for 2010. Josh.
New laws going into effect today cover a wide range of issues, and since there are far too many to list during this broadcast, we're going to highlight legislation enacted by local lawmakers that could have a direct impact on Texomans.
Several new laws in Texas and Oklahoma began as conversations between Texoma residents and their elected officials.
It started with an idea from a citizen who saw something they thought was wrong and contacted their legislator.
Oklahoma State Senator J. Paul Gumm introduced legislation that would require the state to pay interest to citizens if their state income tax refund was delayed, after a concerned citizen brought the issue to his attention.
And it just seemed like this would be a good way to level the playing field, and if the state's going to take its time getting your refund to you, they ought to pay you interest, just like you would have to pay the state interest.
Gumm's bill was passed without a single dissenting vote, so beginning today, Oklahoma taxpayers can expect a return with interest if their payment is delayed. South of the Red River, several fatal accidents involving teenagers in Pottsboro led to the formation of the group Less Tears, More Years. The organization, with help from State Representative Larry Phillips, succeeded in getting several pieces of legislation passed that make it tougher for teens to get a license. It is now mandatory for teens to take an in-car driving test before they get a license. The number of drivers' training hours required has been increased, and new drivers are now prohibited from using cell phones while driving for 1 year after getting their license. That's up from the previous 6-month restriction. Representative Phillips says it was far easier to get the laws enacted because of the interest from the public.
Because we had good local support, that really helps when you get down to Austin and you ask the other legislators to get on board with legislation.
Since the Texas legislature only meets every other year, Phillips says that in 2010, he'll be looking for ways to improve current laws.
We'll be really developing and looking at legislation that we passed in the recent session to make sure that it's being implemented by the state agencies.
For lawmakers in Oklahoma, 2010 will bring lots of challenges and even more tough decisions.
You're going to hear an awful lot about the budget and the revenue shortfalls for the current fiscal year, as well as the reduced revenue figures we're going to have for the fiscal year that starts July 1st.
For a link to a complete list of new laws going into effect in Oklahoma and Texas, today you can go to our web channel. That's KXII.com. In the studio, Josh Stevenson, First News.